Welcome to the Daily Mill for Monday, the 15th of September 2025. In today's Mill news, we start out with this from southernnews.co.uk. Alex Neil gives assessment of Millwall winger's debut against Charlton and where he might play. Alex Neil said winger Theirno Ballos was bright during his Millwall debut against Charlton on Saturday, September the 13th. Yes, I mean, the small amount of time he had on the pitch, he did look very bright. The 23-year-old Austrian international joined the lines on loan with an option to buy from Wolfsberger on deadline day. He trained with the club over the international break, featuring in an under-21 game before making Neil's matchday squad for Mill's trip across south-east London to face Charlton Athletic. Ballos replaced Ryan Leonard in the 80th minute, with the Lions trailing 1-0 against the 10-men Addicts. Raheem Bangor-Williams equalised 8 minutes later as Millwall rescued a point. Neil was asked by News at 10 how he thought Ballos' debut went after the game. I thought he was quite bright. We've signed him as an outside left. They feel like he can play inside the pitch as well, and he can play centre forward on occasions. And I just think physicality wise, at the moment in the Championship, centre forward might be a little bit of a stretch. But again, it's not too dissimilar to Luke in that he can play in little spaces just off the sides of people. So, technically he's quite good. He's sharp. He can see a pass. And I'm still learning about him. He's only been in the building a week, so we're still learning about what he can do. And we've thrust him into a big game today, but I thought he did well when he came on. Yes, very well. Very well indeed. Also, from the southernnews.co.uk, Mill boss and Y catalyst Luke Cundles has been playing in a deeper role. Alex Neil outlined why Luke Cundles has been playing in a deeper role, with the Mill boss describing him as a catalyst for his side's late turnaround away at South London rivals Charlton Athletic on Saturday, September the 13th. The Lions scored a late equaliser to leave the Valley with a 1-1 draw, maintaining their unbeaten record against the Addicts. Mill last lost to Charlton in 1996. Cundles started the game as part of a midfield 2 with Massimo Luongo. Midfielders Casper Denor and Billy Mitchell currently injured. The Lions fell behind 1-0 to the Addicts after Sonny Kerry's first half volley and continued to trail well into the second half. Neil brought on midfielder Daniel Kelly to replace striker Mihailo Ivanovic in the 66th minute, with Cundles moving into a more attacking role. Charlton were down to 10 men when Kane Ramsey was issued a second yellow card in the 74th minute, and Millwall soon capitalised on their advantage. In the 88th minute, Cundles made a late run into the box and was found by Joe Bryan. The 23-year-old shot was saved, but the rebound fell to Raheem Bangor-Williams, who found the back of the net to restore parity in what was his first goal in the Championship. He previously scored, but that was in the FA Cup against Dagenham and Redbridge. Neil thought Cundles was vital to his team rescuing a point. I think he's been excellent this season. His best position for me is probably one up in that sort of 10 pocket, at the moment. The difficulty I've got is the two lads that can play a little bit deeper are young, Dan Kelly. What people don't know about Dan as well is, he's played 2 games in Scotland last week. So he's played on Friday and he's played on Tuesday and he's had to come here again today. And that was one of the key reasons why he didn't start. Well, if you follow this channel, you will know he did play 2. He didn't play 2 games in Scotland, Alex. He played 1 game in Scotland at Fir Park in Motherwell, where you're from. And he also played the other game in Czechia, so he's had to do travelling as well. Then I've got Derek, who can't speak English at the moment. He's only been with us for, a week and a half, and it's a bit unfair to stick him into that type of game. So we're restricted in certain areas, and it's not an excuse. I'm trying to give you a little bit of details why Luke's playing deeper, where I do prefer him a little bit further forward. And I thought when he moved in there, he was a catalyst, really, in terms of finding little pockets of space. Yeah, so, expect... Alright, well, what's going to happen tomorrow then? We'll get to that at the end of the video, in the preview tomorrow's game. We've got to go 1 up front with 1 behind, have we not? And who's going to be the one behind? Is that going to be Cundles? Is it going to be Negley? What are we going to do? I don't know. It would be interesting to find out. Now, I'm going to go on to the Loanwatch now, because obviously you normally do that at the end of the video. But at the end of this video will be the preview for tomorrow's game. So, Mayer, they've actually remembered to put him into the Loanwatch this week. Mayer on the mark. as Cambridge win. Adam Mayer found the net for Cambridge United last weekend. This is from millfc.co.uk, club's official website. The Millwall loanee gave Neil Harris his used lead at Blundell Park against Grimsby Town in Sky Bet League 2, but Cambridge were to miss out on 2 points deep into the second half stoppage time as Justin Amalazor equaliser gave the Mariners a point. Mayer had been withdrawn from the action by that point as he was substituted in the 89th minute. So they didn't concede when he was on the pitch. Elsewhere, Alfie Massey played the full game as Wealdstone drew 2-2 at home to Gateshead in the Vanarama National League. And they've got fixtures coming up. Cambridge playing the lunchtime kickoff on Saturday, and Alfie Massey playing maybe tomorrow in this National League Cup group stage, although it says Leicester City, it's Leicester City under 21s. And we've actually got the goal, so let's have a little watch of that. So a quick counter attack down the middle. Lays it out to the right. Giza runs into the box very cleverly. Why? Because they can't touch him. There we go. Shot from outside the area into the through all of the players that were standing in the area and scores the goal. Fantastic goal. Fantastic. That's enough of that. Right. There is also another game tomorrow. There's 2 games tomorrow. The under-21s, or should we? Probably get more likely to be an under-18 team. It's going to be a hybrid, half and half. It's going to be a very young team up there, which is, it is what it is. That's the way it's going now. It's more about, I think, developing the players and getting them used to this kind of thing. So Mill under-20s travel to Sheffield United in the Professional Development League on Tuesday afternoon. The kick-off is at 2 p.m. Kevin Nugent's side picked up their first win in the campaign last week against Huddersfield Town and will now look to back up that success with a positive result on the road. The Blades, however, have started the campaign well and currently sit on the top of the South Division table. They're top of the table. There is no North and South table. We don't think. I don't know what the hell's going on. I covered it in previous videos if you watch those. They've changed the format of the competition this year due to the whims of the Premier League, and we have no competition to win, because even if we topped the table in this, then we go through to a playoff round which will feature the losing teams in the Premier League under-21 competition. So they've merged it together, which is bizarre, but Sheffield United are currently top of the table, which doesn't mean much. It just means they go through to the playoffs, and we assume that they get some kind of advantage in terms of the draw, but we don't know that because they don't tell us anything. But there you go. Now moving on to this, more rubbish. They're doing things behind the scenes. And it feels a bit weird. So this is from the sun.co.uk. So the EFL are considering shake up, that's easy for you to say, of calendar for 26-27 and cut into Stars holidays as season could start in July. So this is for next season. The EFL was reportedly considering a shake-up to next season's calendar. The potential plans would see the campaign begin in July and cut the players' holidays short. Yeah, that was in the headline. Can we get on with it? The current season began on August the 8th when Birmingham City drew 1-1 with Ipswich Town. The Daily Mail have claimed that EFL bosses are considering starting with League Cup fixtures a week earlier. This means if there were any Friday night games, that would then fall on July the 31st. So technically, because they have a Friday night game, because the games will be on TV. So that's interesting as well, though. So the League Cup is a midweek competition. It's a competition that is under the floodlights. It was brought in once floodlights were brought in 1960. Was it 61? So if they're going to have this the weekend, that kind of, again, messes with the format. But I think the reason why they're doing this, because we have the situation this week in the League Cup with the third round, and it's just bizarre, where you've got teams that are playing in the Champions League can't play this week, so they play next week. Teams that are playing in the Europa League can't play next week, so they play this week. And then, they got a seeded draw because of that, which is just ridiculous, because they weren't allowed to play against each other, which it automatically gives them like a boost to go through to the further stages of the competition. The report stated that is one of several options being discussed due to the current pressured calendar. It is claimed that a decision would be made by the EFL board after consulting with clubs. Next season is already set for disruption with a merged 3-week international break. I didn't even know about that, but we're going to get onto that next, because I've read this line and I thought, what the hell is that about? This will cause more League Cup fixtures to be played before English sides kick off their European campaigns. It suggested that not every club would be in favour of the move, as it would limit their chances to take part in cash-raising friendlies. The Premier League is expected to start the 26-27 season on August the 21st. So we start on August the 1st or July the 31st, and they start on August the 21st. That would mean that many top-flight clubs would still be on pre-season tours, which could provide luxury ties for lower league sides. It doesn't know, is it? They go away, they go to America, they go to the Far East. They don't. When's the last time we played a Premier League team in a pre-season friendly? Well, I mean, you could say Crystal Palace this year, but I mean in front of a crowd, not behind closed doors. EFL managers, I don't know what that's about. It would not be the first time the EFL has kicked off in July, as the Winter Qatar World Cup in 2022 forced an earlier start. However, it would mean the season could start less than a fortnight after the World Cup final on July the 19th. The League Cup is a key driver for revenue for EFL clubs that is facing question marks due to other focuses from top sides. The recent weekend threw up plenty of drama in the EFL. Yep, I don't know what that's about. Yep, it's okay. So again, am I bothered? I'm not really bothered. I can see what they're trying to do. Is it, as long as it's going to be a temporary thing? The thing is, we've settled into a bit of a rut, and it's gone a bit stale, about how we have our pre-season friendlies, and it got so much of a joke that the club kind of had to be forced to kind of do something, where they went abroad to this training camp and then they let fans go to that. You said, like, we played Bromley, we played Dartford, we play them every year. Yeah, and it became a bit of a joke, but our final pre-season game is always at home against, a foreign team that no one's really heard of. This year it was Estoril. Before it's been Hammarby and Vondela and teams like this. And the attendances aren't all that. Now, obviously, the League Cup attendances, especially the ones at home, they're not all that either. But that's a midweek game. If it was on a Saturday, if we had Saturday the 1st of August, 3 p.m. kickoff, Millwall versus... Well, it's got to be someone in the south because it's a regional draw. Let's say Gillingham in the League Cup first round. Would there be a decent crowd for that? And when I say decent, I mean probably 6,000 or more. Maybe. Would it outperform a pre-season friendly? Maybe. I don't know, but there you go. Maybe they could bundle, because it's on a Saturday. Well, we assume it's on a Saturday. Maybe they could bundle it in with the season ticket. Maybe that's an idea. Just that first game, but I don't know. But, so let's move on to what they mentioned in the story. What the hell is going on with the international breaks next season? So this is from bbc.co.uk. This is from 5 days ago, apparently. Didn't, no idea. Some of the words have been cut off. Don't worry, we can always do that. September international breaks are getting longer from next, so it's every year from next year, in the move that will bring the disappearance of the October international break. Okay. So they're doubling up on September and removing October. The change has been made for a number of reasons. These include the 2026 World Cup final having the latest date for a Summer World Cup since 1966, with the match due to be played on the 19th of July. Yep, that's going to feature 2 teams, none of which will be England. How many of those players are going to be playing in this country? Probably 5 or 6 if you're lucky. It's not even that, is it? Spain versus someone. Player welfare also featured in the discussions that took place with the stakeholders and all FIFA confederations prior to approval. Travel considerations are a factor in the change. The reduction in breaks will reduce the number of journeys where players from one continent have to travel to another for their international fixtures, such as African or South American players who play their domestic football in Europe and have to travel cross-continent to fulfill international fixtures. There are currently 5 international breaks each year lasting 2 weeks, each in March, June, September, October and November. Each break means there is no league football in the top 2 divisions for 2 weeks as countries play 2 matches each. There are some exceptions, such as when there is a major tournament like the World Cup, Africa Cup of Nations or European Championship. Starting next year, there will instead be an increased September break with no October break and a regular November break. There will be a 3-week gap for domestic fixtures in September, and countries will play 4 international matches instead of 2. The move to switch, so we can play our friendlies there, no? Can we play friendlies in there? Maybe that's going to help us with all our fucking injury problems, because you know it's going to be the same next year. The move to switch to an extended September break was approved by the FIFA Council, yada yada yada. While the September break is getting longer, the removal of the October break means that in total, 1 week fewer in the domestic season is lost due to international fixtures. How's that work then? Oh, because it's 2 weeks in October. The extended September break and abolished October break mean the final round of Premier League fixtures will take place on 19-20 September and resume on 10-11 October. The longer break will allow countries to play 4 matches in the window instead of 2 before players return to their clubs. For European nations, this will be the first 4 group matches of the 26-27 Nations League campaign. The new international calendar is locked in so this is going to happen every year until 2030. So, I mean, if your missus wants a holiday next year, you can say, oh, we can do it in September. Don't worry about missing any Millwall games. I just want you to be happy, my dear. And then she doesn't need to know that there won't be any Millwall games from the last week of September to the 3rd week of October. Will there be any extra international matches? No. It remains the same. So there you go. I had no idea this was happening. What an absolute piss take. For Nations League games as well. For Nations League games. God. Well, I guess that would help the non-league scene. But I mean, poor old Millwall. No, they're not going to have any fixtures for 3 weeks. What are they going to do? Like the people who work at the club, they're not going to get paid. The ones that get paid are really not on salary. They get paid for turning up to the event and being waiters or stewards and all that kind of thing. That's tough shit, You got 3 weeks out of any money. Good luck. So there you go. Now let's get into previewing the game tomorrow. This is from southernnews.co.uk. They've done the weird thing, and that's they've published the opinions and comments of the opposition manager, which I think they got from their website, but fair enough. Oliver Glasner outlines expectations for Millwall clash. Crystal Palace boss Oliver Glasner outlined what he expects from Millwall in their Carabao Cup 3rd round clash tomorrow, kick-off 8 p.m. It's 8 p.m. kick-off tomorrow, not 7:45, okay? The Lions take on their South London rivals for the 2nd time this calendar year at Selhurst Park, with the Eagles beating Millwall 3-1 in the FA Cup 5th round on March the 1st. Palace head into the game having won the Community Shield for the first time in their history, beating Liverpool on penalties and taking 6 points from their first 4 league games, drawing thrice and beating Aston Villa 3-0. Glasner expects a physical contest tomorrow. They're a team that's tough to play against, very physical, very direct and very strong, with set pieces, playing in a 4-4-2 shape, 2 strikers. They have tall, physical, and centre-backs as well, quite direct, so they're not giving you a lot of space. We played them in pre-season, our first game as well, behind closed doors, and they're a good championship team. I think their start was okay, maybe not brilliant, but it was okay. They drew 1-1 at Charlton at the weekend. We're ready for Millwall, but, like with every opposition, we have to have big respect for their players, for their manager, for the way that they are playing, and we feel ready to compete and win. Glasner has already confirmed he intends to hand 2 players their debut, with ex-Millwall winger Romain Esse also potentially in line to feature. Glasner insisted that regardless of fielding a slightly weaker starting 11, he intends to progress to the next round of the Cup. Always, every single game is a game to win. Every single game is a game to show our way of playing. Every single game now is a chance to get into the rhythm, because we need a rhythm. We have a few late signings and they need to play a few minutes because we don't have training time to give them to adapt to the way we are playing, and therefore every game is important. But of course, at the end, there's one big goal to win the game, and that is regardless of which competition we are playing. Palace are unbeaten in 15 matches in all competitions heading into the tie tomorrow. It's the players, the group of players, and they can be proud because they did it, and so it's their achievement. But I hope there will follow a few more. We feel in good shape. We had a long meeting today where we showed the players where we can and also have to improve to extend this run to win more games. In the last games we were unbeaten, but I feel like we had too many draws, and therefore, we need to score more goals, and this is what we showed them. And we need more runs in behind, and we need more to threaten the defensive line. We need more players in the box, being more ruthless around the box and in the box. And this is what we showed the players. Tomorrow is the next opportunity to do it better, and this is what we will try. So interested to note there. So we play 4-4-2. So here's what you do. You don't play 4-4-2 tomorrow. If they expect us to play 4-4-2, we change it and we confuse them. Also, I think you need players that are going to be up for this game, and they're going to put a shift in. You can't have people just swanning around on the pitch because they're not being paid enough money. That's for sure. Now, Millwall FC have put this up for those of you going to the game. Was it 2,700 or something like that? Important information for Millwall supporters travelling to Crystal Palace. Yes. And that information is that Fulton Heath Station will be closed pre-match from 6:45 to 8 p.m. The station will remain closed between 9:45 and 11:45 p.m. So for all those commuters who use that station, just because there's a game of football, no, that's rough for them. Post-match, Millwall fans will exit the stadium and will be held temporarily outside the away turnstiles to allow home fans to disperse from the local area. Updates will be provided via a PA system on a regular basis to ensure regular communication is provided. Additional trains will be available post-match for Millwall supporters from Norwood Junction to London Bridge. Supporters will be guided to the station from Park Road via Sangley Road. So, tough shit if you drove down there and you actually want to go back to your car. You'll be frog marched to Norwood Junction and then frog marched onto a train that heads to London Bridge, and then you'll have to get there, wait, and then get the train back and go to your car. That should be fun. There will be no, and that's in bold. It's not in capitals, but it is in bold. So they're sending mixed messages. I think they should have had it in capitals and bold. There will be no away pubs available in the area. No. Croydon Council implements a no drinking policy in the surrounding areas of Selhurst Park, a policy which has been in place since 2024. So they're telling you it's not just because of this game. That's what that line's for, and is in place for every Crystal Palace home fixture. So you're not being singled out. Anyone found drinking locally will be asked to leave the area. Away turnstiles will be open from 6 p.m. Alcohol will be served in the away concourse, so the only place to get a drink is in Selhurst Park. How convenient. No flags will be permitted unless they are fire certificated, and evidence of this will be checked upon entry. All bottle tops will be removed prior to entry. Only in extreme medical circumstances will this not apply. So there you go. There's your important information. Another bit of information for those of you who can't go because you didn't get a ticket, because you didn't have 8,000 loyalty points. There is no live video stream on Mill TV. Obviously, the game is on Sky Sports Plus, but we'll get onto that in a minute. So it's not on Millwall TV. There is audio on Millwall TV with Alan Dunn and Carl Bates. So there you go. That should be fun. So Alan Dunn couldn't even get a ticket. He had to go into the commentary section in the media section and do commentary for the match. That's how highly sought after these tickets are. Now, where is the game being shown? Well, where in the world are you? Where in the world are you? Obviously, if you're in the UK, as it says here, Sky Sports Plus, that's the streaming service. It's not on the channels, it's on the streaming service. So you need to have it connected to Wi-Fi. But it is being shown around the world, in Afghanistan, in Algeria, in Armenia, in Australia, in Bangladesh, in Bhutan, in Burundi, in Canada. It's in the Zone Canada. In Congo, Dr. Congo, it's on StarTime Sport Life. Of course it is. In Finland, it's on Elisevi Dabvia Play. You know, all around the world. In Malaysia, it's on Astro Go. In Moldova, it's on Setanta Sports 2, which is still surviving in Moldova. In Nepal, you know, they got troubles over there at the moment. There's some kind of coup, people's coup against the government. It's on fan code. They've overthrown their communist government, and they can watch the Millwall game tomorrow. What joyous times they're living in. In Saudi Arabia, it's on beIN Sports Arabia 8. In Serbia, it's on Arena Sport 1. Tajikistan, it's on Setanta Sports 2. You get the picture, it's all there. In USA, it's on Paramount Plus and Amazon Prime Video. Of course it is. Of course it is. So that's where you can watch it on the television if you're not going to be able to get a ticket and go to the game. But you can watch it on the television, not at home on your own, but you can go to Millwall. So you can watch the game at the Den in Doherty's bar. You know, the newly refurbished hospitality sections of the Den. It costs you £5, which includes a free drink. So basically, it's a 1 drink minimum. You pay for a drink. That's it, you know. And you can buy food there if you want. Doors open at 6:30 and close at 11. So they're opening the bar. They're keeping the bar open after the game. 8 o'clock kickoff, 8 to 8:45, 9 to 9:45. You've got an hour of drinking time after the game's finished. It might go to penalties. It won't go to extra time. So that will take probably till about, 10:15, 10:20. Hey, there you go. How about that? Only £5. Only £5. Now, moving on to this. Obviously, you've all seen this before. This is a historical record from 11v11.com of games between Crystal Palace and Millwall and Crystal Palace. I've sorted it so it shows up. You can see all the games that we've played, home and away against them. And I'll tell you for now, this will be the first time that we play them in the League Cup, a competition which I believe began in 1961. And in all that time, this is the first ever time, when you imagine they keep it regionalised. Most of those years, it was North and South. Yeah, the first ever time that we've been drawn against them in the League Cup. And you got to imagine, so we have played them in the FA Cup, as mentioned previously. The League Cup is a midweek competition. The FA Cup is a Saturday competition. So if we do, before we get to that, so the last time out, obviously, we haven't won in 3 trips to Selhurst Park. We did win in 2010. That was a 1-0 win in the Championship. We've only lost once in, what's that, 3, 4, 5, 6. We've only lost once in 6, and that was the FA Cup game where our keeper got sent off for karate kicking Mateta. So, you know, get away with a draw. Here's the thing, a draw tomorrow will take us to penalties, which gives you a chance to win the game. So you draw the 90 minutes, but you win you draw the game, but you win the tie on penalties. I'll take that all day long. I will take that all day long. So let's get into this now. If we do that, we can see there's an Anglo-Italian Cup game. So that would have been played midweek night time, September. So basically around about the same time of the year, September 1993, we lost that 3-0. Oh, is that an omen? I don't know. If we go down, obviously, FA Cup replays would have been played midweek. Are there any of them? Ah, yes, there are. This looks to be a replay. Because there's 26th of January, that would have been 1929, that would have been a Saturday game. Although this, would this have been, it wouldn't have been a night game because it's 1929. They didn't have floodlights then. So, I don't know. How did they do it back then? That's 4 days later. They must have played it in the afternoon then, no? Who turned up for that? Anyway, we lost it 5-3. Are there any more replays here in the modern era? Yeah, here we go. So this is a replay as well. It's got to be a replay. It's 3 days later, 1975. We would have had floodlights here. And we drew at the Den. And we went to Crystal Palace for a replay. And we lost 2-1. So it looks to be that any time we played them in a midweek game in the Cup at Crystal Palace, we lost it. 5-3 here, which I think that's our worst ever defeat to them. Well, to some extent. 5-3. Well, that 5-0 would have been worse, wouldn't it? Yeah. So there you go. Now, let's get into tomorrow's game. We've just got the one preview and prediction. Because it's a cup game, the Carabao Cup. A lot of people not bothered with it. But, he certainly will be bothered with it. They play to win the game. Palace played host to Millwall in the FA Cup last term, beating their rivals 3-1 in March, though that game was overshadowed by head injury suffered by striker Jean-Philippe Mateta. And let me just say, if it's Max Crocombe in goal, we assume it will be, he has the chance to do the funniest thing in the history of football. Just saying. The home side's performances at the back have been outstanding, considering they've kept 5 clean sheets in their 6 competitive matches this term. Oliver Glasner's side are 8th in the Premier League with 6 points, but they found it difficult to create chances in the final third this term, given they did not score in 2 of their past 3 in all competitions, scoring just 1 goal in 2 of those 6 fixtures. The Eagles are still unbeaten this campaign, but they've only twice emerged as victors, with the Londoners settling for stalemates in 3 of their 4 most recent outings. So that's 0-0. So it's 0-0. Palace have drawn their past 2 at Selhurst Park. They won their prime match at the ground and they claimed victory in 7 of their final 9 at home in 24-25 while avoiding defeat. Mill trailed 1-0 from the 40th minute against Charlton. Though Alex Neil's side managed to score an equaliser in the 88th minute, they benefited from the fact their opponents were reduced to 10 men in the 74th minute. The visitors produced just 1 big chance in that match and they've created just 7 big chances in their final league matches, the joint 5th worst record in the division. What? Hang on. The visitors produced just 1 big chance in that match, and they have created just 7 big chances in their 5 league matches, the joint 5th worst record in the division. Well, that's funny because I showed you the other day in the stats video that we've had the 3rd most shots in the league. Uh-oh. Neil's team are 13th in the 2nd tier with 7 points, and they head to Selhurst Park winless in 2 games, drawing 1 and losing 1. The Lions have failed to beat Palace in their past 6 encounters, suffering 3 defeats in that time, as well as losses in the last 2. Millwall are unbeaten in their 4 away trips this campaign, with the club winning on 4 occasions, though they only scored 1 goal in 3 of those games. You see, they draw in a lot of games. I would take a draw all day long and let it go to penalties. If we win, we win. We lose, we lose. Palace will unfortunately be without midfield maestro Adam Wharton due to injuries and absence means Will Hughes can be expected to start in the middle. Glasner will have to make some changes from the team that drew with Sunderland, especially if he wants to manage the fitness of his players ahead of their Conference League campaign, so perhaps attacker Romain Esse will make an appearance. Nathaniel Klein is certain to come into the 11, while Captain Mark Gay's experience may be needed on Tuesday. As for Millwall, with midfielder Billy Mitchell not scheduled to return to the pitch until late September, Massimo Luongo and Luke Cundles could be in line for starts against Palace. Caleb Taylor is an option to... No, he isn't. He's cup-tied. Do your homework. Caleb Taylor is cup-tied. He played in this cup for West Brom. He can't play for us. While striker Mihailo Ivanovic will also be keen to feature at Selhurst Park. And they say Crystal Palace 1, Millwall 0. Crystal Palace must be seen as favourites given they are a division above their opponents, as well as the fact that they've been difficult to beat. Mill struggled to create chances in the final third, and given Selhurst Park's atmosphere is sure to be hostile, they will likely suffer elimination. For data analysis, the most likely... Listen, there's serious problems in the team at the moment. You know, mentioned it on the video on Saturday. Plenty of swear words as well. You know, everyone's happy and cheering that well, Charlton can't beat us. You know, you'll never beat Millwall. We were fucking dog shit, mate. We were absolutely awful. They had to have a player sent off for us to win that game. You bring in Bangor Williams, you bring in Kelly, and they look like they actually want to fucking play football and want to be here. So, wow, that's players that actually want to play some football. Wow, fantastic. Is Ballo going to start? You know, we need something. We can't be playing two up front. We have to play one up front, and that's got to be Coburn. It can't be Ivanovic. We can't play with 10 men from the start. Kamal Grant, you know, in defence. Why, again, in the Wrexham game, don't know why he didn't get on. He's a goal threat. He can score from set pieces. Is Amaku okay? Is he injured? He did hobble off that game. I don't know. Who starts? Wes Harding starts? Who starts? What's the formation? What are we going to do? Alex Neil doesn't play for draws. This will be a good game to draw. But he doesn't play for draws. We'll see. We will see. I would like it to be a 1-1 draw, even a 0-0 draw. That's my happy expectation. You know, rose-coloured glasses, we get a draw, it goes to penalties. Realistically, I'm going to have to predict that I think it's going to be Crystal Palace 3, Millwall 0. We've got the massive injury problems. We've got players sulking because they're not paid enough money. You know, what can you do? We've got players who can't speak English yet. But, you know, what can you do with that? Can you make a silk purse out of a pig's ear? I don't know. Can Alex Neil? I don't know, but I think we're going to lose 3-0. So don't get upset when we do. And on that note, thank you for watching and goodbye.